What if the mental training we're giving athletes is only half the equation? Welcome to the Captains and Coaches Podcast. We explore the art and science of leadership through the lens of athletics and beyond. I'm your host, Tex McQuilkin, and today I sit down with Shenna Jean from Make One Day Happen. We get into why telling athletes to just visualize is like telling them to just get stronger without giving them a barbell or a plan. Shenna brings sound visualization, breath work, and nervous system regulation to athletic development. From her work with Division I field hockey, professional skiers, to even our friends at Team Builder. What she's uncovered is wild. 90% of Olympians use visualization as a huge part of their success. But everyone else, they're getting almost zero training on how to actually use this tool. We're going to dive into thought defense, the difference between meditation and visualization, why recovery is the fuel for performance, plus she's going to walk us through a breathing and visualization practice at the end of the episode that you can use today. With that, let's take a deep breath in, hand it off to Shenna to help us raise the game. Ready, and break.
All right.
It's nice to be on the other side of it, to be honest. Like, I get this side of it, you know?
I like both sides.
Yeah.
I like asking questions because now I selfishly learn.
It's
This whole rigmarole is just
a big
selfish.
ruse. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I get it. That's a lot of the reason why I have a podcast as well. It's like, mine started originally to be able to share the lessons that I've learned.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's like, yeah, let me invite people on that I want to learn from.
Yeah. Here's an excuse to network.
Exactly.
I love for networking. And speaking of networking, we're live.
Oh, okay,
Hewitt
great.
Conley, shout out Team Builder.
Yes, we love you, Huey.
Y'all were doing your resort, literally a football throw from my house.
That was amazing.
And I'm like, I got to ping the team. So reached out to my pals that are on the team and then Hewitt, and then he's like, hey, come on over. So
That's the beauty of the internet. Like, there's pros and cons to it for sure, but like we get to be so connected like that.
yes. And you were brought in by Team Builder to do a very special experience. Did you bring your sound bowls here?
Oh, I did.
Oh.
They're in the car.
Oh my God.
We might need to get one.
Maybe as a demonstration. I did
Yeah.
want to do a practice.
We can
close out.
Yeah,
a
we can absolutely do
visualization.
that. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. We
Would be
can do the breathing ground technique and grab a bowl.
So let's start with that. They brought you out for your technique specialty to then help them with future visualization. Why did they bring you out?
Okay, so Hewitt and I actually met at the NSCA conference in New Orleans in January. And so we actually had this conversation a lot this weekend because there's all these sliding door moments, right?
I was there too.
Oh, you were?
Yeah.
I was the chick walking around in the big wide brim hat that everybody was like, who is this girl? So I've been doing guided visualizations for close to 15 years now at this point. And in the last year, it's like I really got clear that working with athletes is an opportunity, a passion, and like, let me go figure out what's going on in the world of visualization and bringing sound baths to athletes because nobody knows what that is. And so in this discovery phase of like, okay, well, who do I need to be talking to in different programs? And like, is it going to be the head coach? Would it actually be? There's so much performance and recovery gains from this that I'm like, let me talk to the strength and conditioning coaches because that's who gives. Are we allowed to swear?
Well, certain words.
Okay.
Just to avoid the hard stuff. We'll be all right.
Okay. I can censor myself completely too. But yeah, like who gives a crap about performance and recovery the most? I'm like, all right, strength and conditioning. So let me just go to this conference and start talking to coaches. And it was a way easier approach for me rather than just like LinkedIn spamming people. To be like, hey, will you tell me about the visualization practices that you're using? People are like, who is this lady? So I go to NSCA conference and go to their booth and have a lovely conversation with Jeff. And as I'm walking off, someone's like, hey, did you get a pair of socks? And it was Hewitt. And I was like, I did. And so we strike up a conversation. He's like, no offense, but what are you doing here? I've never seen you before. You must be like new to the scene. And, I'm not wearing the workout gear. And he's like, are you a coach? And I'm like, I am, but not not like the kind of coach you're probably thinking of. And we just really hit it off and shared more about, sound visualization for athletes. And he's like, this is fascinating. And my background is leadership development and wellness facilitation. So I come from a background where I work with companies and their teams and executives. And he was like, I definitely want to learn more.
Yeah.
And he's was at a point in, his journey and development of his company. It's like, yeah, this is actually like, I'm really interested in this. I want to see if my team would be interested in it. And so we kind of did a intro workshop. They loved it. So for the last 6 months, we've been doing a monthly workshop and a monthly coaching call.
Not just this retreat.
Not just this
Oh,
retreat. Yeah.
okay.
So yeah, we've been working together 6 months and keeping it going. And yeah, this was the first time they brought someone in to help facilitate something at the retreat versus just getting together as a team to add a little bit more structure. And, we've been really focusing a lot of nervous system regulation, co-regulation as a team,
Yeah.
energy hygiene, how to use visualization, and some of these, I hate calling them soft skills because I feel like it has such a negative connotation, but there's the more squishy skills that aren't like your Excel and coding and marketing and all the things that typically you do business trainings for, that it's really important. I believe that personal development and professional development are just two sides of the same coin. And when we start to actually bring more personal development into the workplace, we're not waiting for an employee to take that upon themselves.
No.
And then as we develop a whole human, we're going to have a better team. We're going to perform better. Like we just get to grow and develop as a unit. It just makes everyone stronger. So that's the backstory of how
Yeah.
I got here, we got here, and now here we are.
Yeah. Strong message coming from the top. So known Hewitt for more than a decade. So yeah, appreciate seeing the whole growth of his team. And
It's incredible what
Yeah.
he's built. Like I've never, like 4 hours into the trip, I had already 4 people who were like, I want to stay at Team Builder as long as they will have me.
he
I'm
just
like,
randomly came up and said that.
yeah, like it through conversation, like
Yeah.
they just, how long have you been here? What's your role? And kind of having those moments. And like, yeah, I never want to leave. I hope that like I'll work at Team Builder for life. And like that is just such a testimony to not only Hewitt and James' leadership, but just the culture that they're building and what they've created. Like I work with a lot of different companies and haven't had that. We had one guy get a tattoo of the logo, the Team Builder logo. First tattoo of the night was Brian getting the Team Builder logo tattooed on his arm.
For context, for the people that were not there, Hewitt brought in and rented a tattoo artist
Yeah.
for the evening. And
Yeah, we got flash tats. I got a tattoo.
It's called flash tats.
Yeah, so when it's a flash tat, there's like a sheet of predetermined designs that you can get so that an artist can move through pretty quickly versus someone being like, oh, I want this. And you have to like sketch it out and make the stencil and kind of all of those things. So it's a list of.
What did you go with?
So this is a little paper plane with a heart on it. At the end of the Future Self Sound Visualizations is like my traditional kind of event experience. I give people the opportunity to write their future self a love note.
Ooh.
And then I hold on to it and
You hold on to all the notes?
I hold on to them and then I mail them out at random times. And so it's a really special thing to get something like that and something besides a bill in the mail. So this is actually, for me, this represents a future love note to myself. Just like that reminder of when it hurts, when it's painful, when it's a grind, when there's the enduring season of life that inevitably happens, like just keep going. My future self is so grateful for me in this moment that I continue to persist and show up and have faith that I'm moving in the right direction. And so that's what my little flash tat represents.
Love it.
Yeah.
And now let's enter into the visualization, meditation, sound bath practice that you did with that team.
Yeah.
And 1 hour, 90 minutes, what was the time?
Yeah, so the one that we did was about an hour long. And I have 10-minute sessions that I do with people. We can even just do a 5-minute session, 3-minute, whatever. But the 60-minute sessions is where you can drop really deep and explore different levels of consciousness and start to really navigate different brainwave states and get into new territory when it comes to like really finding, the parasympathetic side of your nervous system most of us don't experience that unless we're sleeping. And then so many people have trouble sleeping. And it's like, how do we actually access a parasympathetic state and be productive in that, which is kind of an oxymoron, obviously. I call sound visualization a productive rest because there's so much happening if you as you teach yourself to get into that state of consciousness. And so I pair breathwork, a sound bath with sound frequency from crystal singing bowls, with guided visualization and yoga nidra, or what Huberman calls non-sleep deep rest. So there's these 4 modalities that are all backed in research, all evidence-based and solid research, peer-reviewed stuff behind it that I know sounds a little woo-woo when I come into the athletic space, but they're incredible modalities. And once you start to combine them all together and can really help someone navigate their nervous system and moving out of that fight or flight, which inevitably we're all in a lot.
We're going to spend a lot of time in that today.
Cool. So getting into that space where you can visualize, like right now, I've talked to, at this point, 60 plus coaches at D1 and professional levels. And it's like, how are you visualizing with your teams? What are the tools and the protocols and the practices? And it's literally just telling people to go visualize.
Which I teach adjunct professor for a behavioral aspects of sport, which is like sports psychology. Yeah. So then I have what is taught as visualization, like in the textbook.
Oh my gosh, I'm excited to see this.
I'm going to bring it out.
I'm really excited to see that.
Just play some tango with what is taught and what is applied.
I think that's the gap, right? Like there is stuff that's taught, but then when you get into the weight room or the gym or wherever you're at on the field, it's like, just go visualize. And that knowledge is not getting passed down to the athletes themselves. And there's this massive gap where Olympians are getting the knowledge and the training and the tools and the protocols because 90% of them are using it. And then 97% of them say, that's a huge part of my success. But everyone else that's not making it to the Olympics is not getting adequate training and tools to support them in actually doing it. It's like telling someone to go get stronger without giving them a barbell or a plan, right? A training plan. So it's like, what are we doing here? So that's where, I come in, helping people get to a state of mind and rest in their body where it can be effective. And so what we did with Team Builder is a future self sound visualization. So we time traveled a year into the future, and you get to see just kind of a little snapshot into what a day in the life is, and watch, I talk people through like watching what you're doing in the morning to really set yourself up and kind of build your own energy cup before you start pouring out to others, kind of feeling into the atmosphere of your space and who's there and how you're contributing to that. Then we move into the purpose part of the day. For some people that might be work, for some people that might be parenting or school or whatever it is, but that place where you're really intentional and purposeful in like the big chunk of your day. And who are you collaborating with, and what are you creating, and what is the impact that it's having? And then we move into watching your future self play and rest, because that's just such a forgotten art and not something that we tend to prioritize. And once we do prioritize, we unlock a lot of creativity and energy and connection to self. And so we visualize some of that, and then you get to ask your future self some questions, and that's usually a pretty profound experience for folks. And then we time travel on a neon cloud to get to the future. So that's when people are like, what do you do? I was like, take people time traveling on neon clouds for a living. They're like, what? I'm like, yeah, it's fun.
It does sound cool. Like that's what I wanted, where it would just be, instead of just writing goals,
right
now we are putting ourselves with a completed goal, or maybe on our way to complete the goal.
That's a great question, because and people often ask me, like, how did you get into this? And I'm like, well, I actually started as a vision and goal coach. And goals are great. If you don't have a vision that they're leading you to, though, you're kind of just spinning your wheels a little bit. And so this is an opportunity to drop into a deeper vision for yourself and like get more zoomed out so that you can use the goals to zoom in on how you're going to get there. And getting that bigger picture from a deep place within. I think like everybody's like, oh, what am I going to be when I grow up? Or what's the next season of life? And like we tend to look outwards for answers and talk to mentors and compare ourselves on Instagram, whatever it is, right? But like
Yeah.
your answers are within. It's about learning how to get still enough and listen from a new space to really understand what are the desires of your heart. What is the vision that's been placed in your soul to come here and carry out? And you can only find that going within. And going, our society has made it very, very hard for people to go within.
Time out. Coach, have you ever felt like your athlete shut down, tune out, or just too cool for coaching? You want them to listen, you shake them. You know this attitude and approach that they're taking with their training or their practice in front of you is not going to lead to success on the field or off the field later in life, and you have to change it. Athletes today are operating on a different internal system, and we need to course correct on how our approach is going to land with them. And that's why I wrote the new course, Why They Won't Listen, Coaching Today's Athletes. If you want to learn more, head to listen.captainsandcoaches.com for this online course. If you want the first lesson free, see how I break down and combine whiteboard lecture and practical demos, movement-based lessons, so that you can bring them to your practice and your training environments. Again, head to listen.captainsandcoaches.com to learn more and get that free lesson. And now, back to the show. Ready, and break.
Let's start with visualization.
Okay.
And let me crack open this little
Cheers.
book here.
P.S.
Cheers
to the Yeti mugs. Shout out Yeti. We love
Shout
you.
out Yeti. Local team, Dripping Springs, started. All right.
Yeti started in Dripping Springs.
Uh-huh.
Get out.
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that.
They claim Austin, but OGs know the truth.
Oh, wow.
All right. So they do consider visualization an ability. So there's a whole chapter.
I'm literally
on
going to
this.
have to like take pictures of the whole chapter.
Yeah. So they
Okay.
they define it as imagery.
Sure. Mental imagery is definitely the terminology they love.
Yeah. And aim is to enhance sports performance. That's essentially the bottom line. So their definition, through imagery, you can recreate positive experience or pictures, new events to prepare yourself mentally for performance. Their big points: key characteristics of success, modality, the senses used in imagery, perspective, the visual perspective taken, first person, internal, or third person, external, angle, the viewing angle when imaging from external perspective, above, behind, front, side, agency, the author or agent of the behavior being imagined, and deliberation, the degree to which imagery is deliberate or spontaneous. And then my other highlighted piece is developing the ability. So this is how they view application, and came to image with the help of sports psychology consultant. Individuals begin LSRT by generating the simple image of a specific situation. So
What's LSRT?
it is layered stimulus response training.
Layered stimulus response training.
I think that was what a study labeled it, and now
Okay.
that's the scientific term. I like imagery better, or visualization.
Okay.
So before imagining a scene, example, a tennis player hitting a service ace, individuals are asked to verbally describe it in as much detail as possible. Where, when, and what. The scene is then imagined. Then you reflect. Imagining the scene, individuals are asked to rate the vividness, controllability, and clarity of the image on a scale of 1 to 5. So now they're self-assessing their ability to educate and stay focused. And then development. Based off this reflection, individuals will either remain within the current image, re-image, or further modify the content or the characteristics. So they're putting a feedback loop into it. And so trying to get a coach to have an athlete describe what's in their mind to a coach, and then the coach guides them.
Interesting.
Yeah. So then there's some scientific mumbo jumbo on how it works, but that's their application. Is you talk to me, you tell me what you're thinking, and I'll guide
Course
your
correct
coaching.
that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's the extent of it. Then it's just like research on. Then they're just stating research stuff. That's it. One, two, three things.
Yeah. It's wildly overlooked. And the research is so solid on the impact that it has. Um, yeah, that's, when I create custom sound visualizations for athletes, I just made one for a pro skier who, his story is great. I've been working with the Aspen Valley Ski and Snowboard Club. His name's Kelly Hillicky. And he, before this past season, didn't use visualization. And this last year, I created a track for just kind of a sport agnostic track, but specific for athletes to like use on the chairlift or sled ride up as they're preparing for their competition. And so he started using this and went from crashing in 75% of his competitions, which is not all that abnormal. You crashing out in ski, you fall, right? Like that's just part of that sport. He goes from crashing in 75% of his competitions over the last couple of years to this last season where he visualized and used this track before every competition to winning 5 out of 7, no crashes this season.
All right.
Made the pro circuit. Then has an accident and breaks his C5 and C6, which is a massive injury, and has a fusion. So now he's in injury recovery right now. And so we've made a recovery track, which is, I think, the recovery aspect alone is just insane for how this can support it, right? So the track that I made for him is helping visualize the nerve endings, like just fully firing and functioning, and visualizing that from an internal perspective of like what's happening in your body. And can you just like visualize like a white light, a clear, clean cable of your nerve, and kind of he's also having some like strength things happening in his arm. So like just visualize doing some reps and feeling what lightweight feels like, doing left versus right, doing both, and then just like getting the actual reps in your mind without that physical load is still going to be training your muscle memory. And then we transition to him on the hill and moving in between first and third person of feeling what it's like, feeling the stability of the neck and your core and just feeling super strong in your body, but then also watching yourself stick the landing on the 360. And so kind of toggling back and forth between that internal and external perspective, because the mind does not know the difference between a internal experience and an actual external experience, right? Like that's why when you have a very vivid dream and you wake up and you're like, I was literally just falling off the cliff and your heart's pounding and you're sweating and you're having this physical reaction because your body just thought you were there. So if you can get to a still and quiet enough space and visualize these things, it's the matrix in essence, right? You're just downloading programs. You're creating the neural pathways that your mind needs to just be executing in a flow state once you actually get there, versus if you're doing it for the first time, then you've got all the cortisol and the adrenaline and all of the stress hormones pumping through you. But you can actually get that part out of the way with visualization so that when you show up in the real life experience, it's like, oh, I already know how to dodge these bullets. So
You feel there's a difference between training an individual, like a skier or swimmer, versus a team sport? So basketball, football.
I think there's a massively underserved market for team visualizations. And that's actually what I'm most excited about to bring into the industry, because I've been over here working with corporate teams and reverse engineering product launches 2 years from now and Q4, contracts and all of these things. And when you align a team, when you co-regulate a team on the same wavelength and you're all collectively putting your energy towards a shared vision, the sync up that happens is crazy. Absolutely crazy. I worked with the Indiana University field hockey team for their spring season.
Very cool.
And went in, did a sound visualization workshop to kind of talk through the science, how this works, what to expect. And beforehand, I had talked to the coaches, okay, like what are your 3 biggest desired outcomes for this spring season? And they had just lost 75% of the team to graduation, lost all but 1 captain. So they were just brand new buildup, right? And this is something that, especially with NIL, that teams are facing at an unprecedented level at this point, is like, okay, whole new squad, like how do we get them to performing as quickly as possible?
Yeah, transfer portal,
Everything.
quick.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. And this is where my background in team development really comes into play. There's something called Tuckman stages of team development.
Spelling?
Tuckman, Tuckmans.
Okay.
And it's a pretty simple model that any team that comes together is going to move through these different stages of development. You start with forming, then you move into storming.
Ooh.
Storming is where a lot of people get caught up. I know it's where the Kansas Jayhawks basketball team got caught up last year. And then once you get out of storming, which is trying to figure out what's my role in this, like who's, kind of jockeying for position and starting lineups and all of the things, then you get into norming and you can find a normal rhythm with what's happening. And then you get into performing. So now we're asking
Ing.
all the ings, and the orms, form, storm, norm, perform.
Formings.
Or the ormings. Nailed it. So we're asking teams to move through this at a rate that they've never had to move through this before, right? And we haven't given team development tools to the teams.
Right.
And so that's where visualization can come in to really support this in a way that I don't think coaches can quite see yet, because it's giving a common goal and vision to align around versus hoping that everybody gets it on their own. And now we're just managing egos and new people. It's like, no, actually, this is the defense that we run. This is our preferred offense. These are the values of the teams. These are our pillars of play and what we want. And like, that's what we're aligning to, like get on board or get off versus trying to manage all the different components of the players and getting it to work. Right.
Yeah.
So the field hockey team, coaches were like, they played incredibly. Their first, it wasn't a game since it was spring ball, but like the first scrimmage out, like it looked effortless for them. Like they've been playing together for years because we sat down, we visualized the three biggest outcomes. We talked about those pillars of play and all of those things. And then they were also getting this insane amount of rest, which is something that is, especially D1 athletes, like you just don't get. It's like beyond, it's like 3 full-time jobs. Just to like be a human and an athlete and a student, like it's crazy. So there's so much value in pouring into the team versus constantly pulling out performance from them.
Yeah.
Right. Like it helps that balance of recovery in a massive way, and recognizing that recovery is actually the fuel for performance. I think that so often we're just so focused on the performance and the output that it's like you got to have energy in to output anything. And so how do we think about recovery differently in a way that supports that energy getting put back in a more productive way?
Yeah, big part of the course that I'm teaching. So how it works is they have the course material, and then I get to teach lectures based off real world experience and application.
Cool.
And then the 2 big learning objectives are the psychology's effect on performance and performance's effect on psychology.
Ooh, good.
So aiming to bring in this
chicken or the egg
human element to it. But I mean, every athlete's career ends.
For sure.
No matter pro, college, high school. So can the ability to communicate and work through storms and build your team together, that's a skill. Can they take that into their career and their family?
Exactly. And there's also, in my opinion, a huge underserved market for supporting athletes in that transition out of their career. Like that is a massive identity crisis for most athletes. And it's a big part of why athletes are 7 times more likely to suffer from mental health and substance abuse issues, because you've been this thing your entire life. And there's this beauty to the discipline and the focus and like the intentionality that it takes to really compete at high levels and even just compete in general, right? But then when all of a sudden you're not that thing anymore and you haven't spent any time thinking about who else you want to be and what else you want to do in the world, that's a devastating transition. And so that's where the future self sound visualization comes in, right? Like there's an opportunity to like, hey, visualization is a tool. And what I would want to see added to this textbook is the idea, hi, Dalton. He's like, yeah, this is the good stuff. I want to be in here for this. What I would add to this textbook is we can use visualization really in 3 ways. We can use it going back to the past and re-experiencing things from our past that maybe we made mean something back then that doesn't actually mean anything or doesn't mean the same thing anymore. So like we can really do a lot of like subconscious reprogramming. Like if there was an experience that happened in your past and you made it mean that like, because you didn't hear me, I'm not lovable. And it's like, oh, let's go back and tell that 5-year-old version of me that like you're actually very lovable and like let's give her a hug and like remind her like we're here, we're cool, and reassign that emotion. And that is a very healing experience. We can use visualization as kind of like a present moment. Like then this is really the bigger sports application of whether it's a game or whether you're a founder pitching to investors or you're practicing for a job interview or whatever it might be, more of a present moment performance based visualization. And then we can use the future tense of visualization and like, let's go out and start to imagine what my life looks like 1 year, 5 year, 10 years from now and get some insights from inside about how and who I want to be in this next season of life before we get to the next season of life and we haven't thought about that at all. And now it's like, oh crap, what do I do? Who am I? What is this?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I really am excited about that application of the future self sound visualization, because if we are normalizing visualization as a practice, then it's like, hey, this is a tool that you carry with you the rest of your life. And here's how you use it to transition into different seasons of life and find answers that are yours, not what I'm telling you to do or your parents are telling you to do or whatever it might be.
Yeah, parents, a
Parents, we
nightmare.
love you.
Yeah,
Can't
we love you.
we can't live with you and we can't live without you.
Um, I do want to highlight, and you've mentioned this many different times, and I found this an interesting growth perspective where you said seasons of life.
Mhm.
Why I love sport, it's a new season, new team. Every single year, there's new problems to solve.
Yeah.
What I want to aim to do is help the kids understand, teenagers, that this season is the season of life because high school, everything is life or death.
Mhm.
School, so much stress.
Yeah.
College, this relationship, all this stuff. So aiming to help them understand, like, can we take everybody as loss? Can we get the lesson?
Mhm.
How would you mentor a teenager in that respect to like, hey, this season is just a season.
Mhm.
Let's learn from this so you can take this into your future self and just be awesome.
Yeah. That's a good question. I mean, I'd probably just sit them down and have them do a sound visualization, right? Like, because again, I don't have your answers. You do. I can teach you how to get. I tell clients all the time, like, I don't got your answers. So if you're coming to me to get answers, this is probably not going to work. I do have a map. I have a flashlight. Got some really good road trip playlist and snacks. Like I'm a great adventure buddy to like help you find answers, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't have them. And so I think that's what I really love about being a coach is like I can't do the work for you. I can't tell you what you're going to do in this next season of life, but I can teach you the things that help you get quiet and learn how to listen from a different place so that you can start to find your own answers and direction and clarity on where you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
So that's typically my approach is like I'll give you some tools and frameworks to find answers because everyone's answers are different. There's not a prescriptive like here's what's next,
Yeah,
you know?
like that analogy, visualization, and then explaining that it's still on them.
Yeah, you still got
Like
to do the
you're
work.
writing your story.
Yeah, exactly.
We can be a spirit guide.
Yeah,
However, you got to cross that
exactly.
threshold.
You got to do the work to figure out what it is your soul wants most in this lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
Or you don't. Like that's also a choice too. But, you know.
You're not wrong. For now, within the realm of the team builder team you worked with, they were mature adults with careers,
Mhm.
families,
Mhm.
and ambitions.
Mhm.
There's a lot of teenagers out there
Mhm.
that are not mature, maybe can't see past high school or past college. What would be like a starting, and they like being silly? And I've tried visualization practices, meditation with teenager boys. It just turns into like a giggle fest.
Yeah.
If one loses it, it's like a contagious bomb going on. So,
Yep.
what would your, as the professional within this realm, take to then setting up and getting a teenage team like a starter kit for visualization?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I'll be honest, and team builder team, I'm saying this with like the most amount of love and respect, but like, do we ever grow out of like our silly teenager selves?
No,
You know, that was basically a room of a bunch of teenage boys
you're not wrong.
getting back together, right? And skepticism can be really high. That's where sound frequency is super helpful. Like the sound frequency itself is what's shifting brainwave states. And
Oh, okay.
what's happening for most people is like we're just too stuck in our head to actually drop into a visualization. So then we're having these thoughts and then we're chasing the thoughts. And, you know, I would also probably tee up with specifically teenage boys. Like, let's talk about thought defense and why that's
That was
important.
going to be my transition,
Yeah.
but you brought it up.
Yeah, like let's talk about the landscape first. And that's where I also find a lot of my work is more effective when I do a leadership development workshop before trying to put someone just lay them down to visualize. Because when people understand the why behind it and some of the how behind it, they're a lot more bought in. They're like, oh, okay. And like then you start tying in some, oh, and so has also done this, which is I love the copycat nature of sports for that.
Oh
Like,
yeah, your favorite player does
yeah.
this. What?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like, oh, I did this with Chris Harris Jr. And then James was team builders like, what? That's my favorite player. And like the way he leaned in, like so much faster and like,
Buy-in.
right, there's this immediate buy-in there. So yeah, I would start with talking about the landscape of the mind and how in a way that they can relate to, right? I think that's the other part of why wellness and sports are so segregated is like there's not a ton of wellness teachers and breathwork teachers and sound healers and yogis that actually even know what a 4th and 1 is. And like what breath pattern am I going to give someone? How am I going to help them visualize a 4th and 1 situation if you don't even know what that is? Like there's a language mismatch and like miscommunication that happens that like why am I going to align my chakras? What's that going to do for me? But in my what I'm doing, like we're aligning your chakras. I'm just not telling you that.
Right.
But it's what's happening through the process of what we're going through because when your energy centers of your body are all aligned, like you're going to perform better. It's just how energy works, right? And dissonance and resonance. And so,
I've been hearing the word resonance a lot.
yeah,
I'm gonna make a note for that, but keep going.
yeah. So talking about, yeah, like the landscape of the mind is crazy. There's an estimated 60,000 thoughts a day. And I think that's from the Cleveland Clinic. And then the National Science Foundation has estimated that 80% of them are negative and 95% of them are repetitive. And then there's a pretty wide known psychology understanding that 95% of what's happening in the mind at any given moment is unconscious. So when you start to just like sit with the weight of
That's
that,
heavy.
it's very heavy. It's extremely heavy. And it's like, it's one of the stats in my lifetime that I want to make a dent in. Because once we bring awareness to it first and foremost, and we start to recognize like, oh wow, I'm on autopilot more than I recognize. And it is really interesting actually for the age group of teenagers because most of our programming and our subconscious beliefs are actually formed between ages 0 to 7
Yep.
based on the brainwave states that we're experiencing. And like that spongy subconscious is when we have a lot of theta brainwaves present. And so that's where when I'm talking people through this, I'm like, we're going to theta land. We're trying to get to that space where your body's asleep, but your mind's awake, because then we can go in there and like, you know, kind of add new neural pathways of what
Yep.
you want to be experiencing versus looping on all of these thought patterns that you don't want to be experiencing. So I often talk about the thinking feeling loop and understanding that we have an experience, a stimulus that could be internal or external, and it kicks off a subconscious thought that fires so fast you don't even know what's happening. That's triggering emotions and feelings, which are two very different things.
Descartes' error. You familiar with this?
No.
Oh, wow. There was a psychologist, his name's Descartes, and he felt that this side of your brain is for thinking, this side of your brain is feeling, and they did not meet. So then there's this famous Descartes' error. It's the point where, like, no, he got it all wrong. So then hundreds of years of research and experience was wasted because of this one man's belief.
Interesting.
That's a good one.
I'm gonna have to go deeper into that.
It is crazy deep, And one example there, and this is a famous example, a man got a spike through his brain that then he had a family, marriage. He was very like by the Bible, by the book, living his life. And then a freak accident at work severed that connection.
I've
And so
heard
he
about
lived
this.
and
Yeah.
he lost the part of his brain. So then he started to gamble away, started to just be unfaithful towards his family and not act in his character. So then they connected it to losing this part of his brain. So that's just one piece, but very famous stories. And then business. Now business thought leaders are diving into it. Thinking Fast and Slow is a book,
Yes.
very dense book,
Yes.
but they battled these like buyers act with their they the buyers in business act with logic, and
Mm-hmm.
they're like
No,
no,
it's
you're
all
idiots. It's
emotion.
all
Yeah. And
you know
feeling. Okay, so
AI
I've never known how to say that.
Descartes.
Descartes. I would struggle with that. I'd be like, is it Descartes? Descartes? Okay. So now that I'm a visual learner,
Mm-hmm.
shocking. The visualization lady is visual. So seeing things and spellings definitely helps me recall and remember. So yes,
Yeah.
this is all coming back to me now. And there's, one of the things that I love helping people understand, and this is, fact check me, don't fact check me. I don't know if this is more of like an intuitive knowing that I've just been speaking on versus like having seen it at some point or just like been pulling information to arrive at this conclusion. But I believe that emotions and feelings are two completely different things. Like, in the sense of, emotions are the sensations and the biochemical experience of what's happening in the body.
Mm-hmm.
So, right, like when I get angry, I'm going to get a stress hormone, I'm going to get a tightness in my chest, I'm going to get a tunneled vision, and your body sensations might differ slightly from mine. So that's why it's important to start to learn to tune in to, like, okay, what is the body telling me right now?
Mm-hmm.
And emotions are energy in motion and
Now we're
last
talking.
about 90 seconds. The
Yeah.
reality of the experience of the emotion. And so if you can just learn to write it out, breathe, ask your, like, pause and not get sucked into the automated response, that the feeling is the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
The feeling is the story that we attach to the sensations that we're now experiencing. And I think we interchange the words emotions and feelings all the time, and we conflate the two, and they're happening on top of each other. But like, that's where we get to start getting more emotional intelligence, is when we recognize, like, oh, okay, I'm having a body sensation right now. I'm getting
Mm-hmm.
pissed, or I'm feeling grief, or I'm so excited, or whatever it is. And like, what are the sensations here? Let me be with it, and let me separate the story that I'm telling myself about this.
Yeah.
Because the story, when we get in our feels, it's not because we're just like
Yeah.
still feeling the sensations of anger. It's because we're looping on a mental narrative now
Mm-hmm.
around it. So pulling those two things apart, I think, is a really important thing to teach kids as early as we possibly can,
Yeah.
to distinguish between the two of those.
You're speaking my language. Big John Bradshaw fan. He wrote motion, E dash
Yes,
motion,
yes,
energy in
yes.
motion, and then yeah, a lot of the stuff I teach is anchored in that 4 to 7 window for child development,
Mm-hmm.
social emotional learning, independence and interdependence, and then uh, I refer to it as social emotional leadership now when we apply those same child tools to teenagers
Yeah.
and college kids. Uh,
And let's be honest, adults, because we haven't been talking about this
you're not
stuff.
wrong. It's yes.
You know?
It the target is the kids because
Mhm.
then coaches are more willing to give these lessons to their athletes than they are themselves, and then eventually get to themselves if they're willing. But in my experience, if you're a college coach, you already know it's my kids that are the problem. So then I just create a bunch of stuff for their kids. It's weird, but hey,
That's
I'll find the right coaches, which is in time. But
that's interesting.
and
We'll circle back to that.
we will. We mentioned thought defense, and
Hmm.
then we were hanging out at the social,
Hmm.
and then you said this word, and I'm like,
What are you doing this weekend? Come on the
my
bus.
brain just lit up. That's the greatest. like tool, because
Mhm.
what I want to do is effectively hand off tools through sport that then they can go and lead and be awesome in life.
Yeah.
So thought defense, I mean you need that every single day against the
Every moment.
external, against the internal,
Yeah.
and that is one thing I want to highlight. So in your mind, this sets the stage for visualization. This helps make connection with people and then leads to visualization.
Well, I think when we understand that unattended, our thought landscape is pretty dicey.
Uh-huh.
Once we have an understanding of what's happening in our mind, that's where visualization is a really powerful tool. So I define meditation as mindful awareness. When we're meditating, we're actually getting a little bit more clear on what are the thoughts happening, what are the sensations happening. Maybe you have a specific focus with a breath pattern that but like you're locked into like understanding the internal landscape. And this is where a lot of people just conflate the two again. And this is where I think we're doing ourselves a massive disservice by not kind of teasing these out and understand, when do you want to meditate and then when do you want to visualize. I think we're over meditated as a society and we're very under visualized. We got all of these people that know how to sit and feel their feelings and stay rotating on their feelings. But it's like, once you know that you've got anxiety and the anxious thought loop is taking you out, go visualize something different that you'd like to be experiencing. Because while meditation is mindful awareness, visualization is conscious creation. You
Yeah.
are literally creating new neural pathways. You are giving your brain a blueprint of what you want to experience, and you're showing it how to have that so that it starts to magnetize those experiences. And again, you get not dropped into the dojo like Neo and like you've already been there. You're like, oh, okay, cool. We're ready for this. We've been priming ourselves for this. And then when you're not, that the reality is that we're all visualizing all the time anyways. When you're thinking of anxious thoughts, or if you're worried and kind of projecting into like, oh, like you're visualizing, you are rehearsing something in your mind, you are giving your mind mental images of how it's not going to work out. And so how do we take some real intentional time to sit down and focus on what we want instead of what we don't want?
Mm-hmm.
That's the crux of it. So like when you really start to paint that landscape for people, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, you're right. Like I do need to go start thinking about and practicing mental rehearsal in a way that like is focused on what I want.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where that visualization starts to help. As I teach, kind of going back to thought defense though, like there's basically like two ways that you can really think. I'm a big basketball fan. I grew up in a basketball family, Rock Chalk Jayhawk, go KU. And so I use the lens of basketball defense and man-to-man versus zone.
Okay.
And so your zone defense is going to be gratitude and affirmations. And gratitude gets kind of, a lot of the things that I teach can be a little bit easily dismissed. And I'm so grateful for neuroscience. Like what it has shown us in the last 10, 15 years is just absolutely incredible that we can rewire our brains. Neuroplasticity is real. Gratitude changes
Mm-hmm.
the structure of your brain. And gratitude is one of the fastest ways to get yourself out of the negativity bias and focus on what is working versus staying stuck on what's not or what you don't want. And so gratitude is just wildly underused, in my opinion, wildly underused. So if you can intentionally practice gratitude every day, you're laying a zone defense that's just starts to become impenetrable, right? Affirmations can help as well. But then we all have some crappy thoughts, the subconscious beliefs that we've picked up, and all of us usually have two or three that are really taking us out that we haven't brought into conscious awareness. And so figuring out, how to watch the thinking feeling loop and understand how to pull yourself out of that and identifying a thought, then you want to create what I call an anti-thought, like the direct opposition, because you've basically had a negative affirmation that you've been playing on loop subconsciously for, as you get into, our age, like decades, it's been happening.
Yeah.
And so you need the exact opposition to that. You need a man-to-man defense for that because you need to go against this one specific thought. And it can't just be a store-bought affirmation of I am love and light or I am strong and powerful. You want to find that specific opposition to it and like have that, like, I know your weak side. I know which way I need to force you to go in this. Like you want to have like kind of everything down so that in those moments where you get triggered, triggers are the treasures. They are the treasures. When we get emotionally triggered, we want to make it about someone else, and it's almost always, unless we're talking like this is excluding like violence, harm, abuse. That's not what we're talking about. But when we get emotionally triggered, it's pointing towards something in us that is like, we need to take a look at this. Like, oh, I'm actually feeling some sort of insecurity, or it's pushing on a button of mine that is a subconscious belief. And that's why I'm getting this emotional reaction about it. And so when we can start to use an anti thought to be like, oh, you know what? No matter if you hear me or not, I am valuable. No matter if you hear me or not, I am valuable. And remind ourselves, like, oh, this is not that situation from when I was 5, even though my nervous system thinks it is and is trying to protect me in that. Like, I'm actually okay in this moment. And I don't need to get as upset as I normally did. And now you've just successfully run an anti thought defense to combat that specific moment versus gratitude and affirmations, just kind of laying a foundation and baseline for that.
That I love it, especially the analogy, and that's those are tools that I can again bring to
Yeah, please
teams
spread it,
that then
spread it.
they understand that, and they're battling that. What I like is observing acting in behavior versus acting out. So at
Ooh, that's
practice,
good.
if a kid he's disruptive, he's that age regression that you mentioned, throwing a temper tantrum or um, just acting out towards others and teammates or coaches like that, they're searching for boundaries. It's a cry for attention and help, and they trust me enough or the team enough to act that way. So it's like, all right, let's talk through it. But then acting in, like these where I feel zone and man to man can really play a factor. This is where it's typically from my experience the lead by example kids. So they are always on time. They're always fighting for perfectionism and they want approval from coach or parents.
Yep.
And winning equals success to them. So when they make a
Winning equals
mistake,
worthiness.
I'm going to steal that one.
Please do.
Winning equals worthiness in their mind. So when they make a mistake, now they start to act in. And it's the shame, the internal. And by the time that I am seeing them act out, like hit themselves in the head with their stick or speak like I'm worthless, I'm this. By the time I'm hearing and seeing these things,
Oh, it's been
yeah.
happening.
So early in my career, I would be like praising the behaviors where they're always on time and oh, be more like them. They're leading by example. Those are the kids that are really the acting in. So even teaching the whole team these tools, now aiming to get ahead of it. So like by the time I hear those words,
Yeah.
uh-oh,
Yeah.
man. And then seeing against opponents and other teams how they react. Because in lacrosse sidelines, it's like basketball. We're right next to each other.
Yep.
So I can see and hear everything.
Well, the energy hygiene transfer is real.
So I would love that because I talk about science of the sidelines. I'm always
Ooh,
looking over there. Are
good.
they tired? Are they leaning on their knees, their hands on their heads? They're fatigued. Are they is their coach losing it? And I draw attention and be like, hey, we got them.
Yep.
So I'd love to read that. What'd you call it one more time?
Energy hygiene.
Energy hygiene.
Yeah.
And then
We constantly pick up on people's vibes,
yeah, I
right?
do energy hijinks.
Ooh, tell me more.
If I hear them, this is interesting. So coached it against the coach who would like scream absolutes. So like defense is always wrong. That's an absolute. Well, defense can then shut you down, make a play, or understand what you did from watching film, and then counter or make adjustments. We see it every time in professionals. So like
Right.
if I hear during a game that absolute, then just drop a play or make a call or make an adjustment to then stop the absolute. And then I say the opposite. Defense is always right.
You just ran
Or
an anti-thought.
yeah, I've been doing these, but I
Yeah.
energy hijinks. So I just use their absolutes and just the constant coach traps against them.
Yeah.
Really get under their skin, and then they start dropping f bombs, and it's like all right. And I very friendly with referees, so it's like, sir, we and moms help us out on the sidelines. So it's
Sure.
like we can't be using that language in front of my parents. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, you going to allow this? So now speaking to the referees, yeah.
That's a good playbook right there.
Oh, I have a lot of fun because like this is just high school sports. It's not the end of the world.
Right.
So,
For some coaches, it feels like it.
and that's that
And I think
energy. I
like,
don't want the kids to get that.
okay, so this is brilliant because that's where energy hygiene comes into play. And this is what gets really fascinating is when coaches are acting in versus acting out,
Hmm.
right? That's going to spread to their team.
Yeah.
That is going to be a direct reflection of their leadership and like where, yeah, it's interesting that you say like coaches want to pass the lessons down, but do they want to integrate the lessons for themselves? And how do we get more tools for coaches in that?
It's the
Uh,
same tools.
that's the same, right? And how, okay, so how do we get more accountability? And what's the word I want to use here? I think it just comes down to accountability and integration.
Hmm.
I would say, like, how do we actually get coaches to? I've got a friend that's working on the composed coaches curriculum, right? Like, how do we get more composed coaches on the sideline, like that understand that, like, oh, I've got a ripple effect of energy that if I can hold my ground, my team can hold its ground.
Hmm. And through practice, like that's the time that we get to go through these roller coaster of emotions and learn how to differentiate feelings and emotions. I like that as well. Um, I spent a lot of time recently aiming to understand shame. So then this is shame versus guilt. And there's a psychologist, Tim Fletcher, who describes it where guilt is a feeling and shame is a belief. So the feeling like, oh, I feel
Ooh.
bad, I made a mistake. Shame is, I am a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
So then, as a mentor, if they feel guilty about a decision or maybe how they treated a teammate or made a decision on the field, we can walk back to that fork in the road when they made the decision and then visualize what could have
Mm-hmm.
happened if they were
Mm-hmm.
nicer to the person or um, read or saw the open person on the play. We see that in football. Like, watch film, go back to the
Mm-hmm.
sideline. That guy was open. We're going to run that play again.
Yeah.
Um, that'd be like, I feel bad, but I'm going to use that energy on the field. Shame is, I always make a mistake. I'm always going to do this. I can't do this. The self limiting beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
But then more often than not, especially here in Texas, the coaching culture is to lead with shame.
For sure.
Now, this is what we get into fight, flight, freeze. Kids are now making decisions because they don't want
To be shamed.
to be shamed. They don't want to get yelled at dad in the car ride home. They don't want to walk to the sideline and face coach,
Yeah.
and which then only leads to fight, flight, freeze versus flow state.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy what we're doing to kids.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with Dr. David R. Hawkins?
No.
Awesome. He's got his book Power versus Force is really interesting, and he puts emotions on a scale of consciousness.
Mm.
And so shame is actually, as he describes it, the lowest vibrational emotion.
I'm
And
in
then
on this.
guilt is really just right above that. And then it's a logarithmic scale that if you start to learn how to yeah, where am I in these range of emotions and like the vibration of them? And how do I release some of, I mean, we can really go off. The emotion code is another thing that I'm really big on because we trap emotions in our bodies
Mm-hmm.
and we are electromagnetic beings. So you can actually pull those emotions out with magnets and intention, which sounds crazy, but I'd be love to hear your thoughts when you go down
I
this
don't know
rabbit
enough.
hole. Yeah, when you go down the rabbit hole, and we'll circle back on this one. Yeah, like we are holding emotions in our bodies that we've never processed because we weren't taught that an emotion is just 90 seconds, and if you can be with it, then we internalize the emotion of shame into I am shame. And I have a whole word diet wormhole that we can go down, but like I am are the two most powerful words in all of language. Anything that comes after I am, we are creating.
Uh-huh.
And so this is again where it comes back to thought defense, where you got to take every thought captive and understand like, what am I saying about myself? Am I saying I am a bad person or I am feeling bad about that? And like you made a beautiful distinction there on how we have to start separating the two and recognizing when we're saying I am X, like one of my favorite lines, hey, don't talk about my friend like that. When people get to the stage where they're verbalizing it, you know it's bad.
Yeah.
You know it's real bad. If they're verbalizing it and can't hear themselves in it, then you know that the internal landscape is way worse. And so learning how to parse that out, learning how to find words that actually don't serve us and swap those out, because words are energy as well. Everything is energy, and everything's carrying energy, emotion. So our bodies are holding emotion that we haven't fully cleared. That's attracting more emotion because it's all a frequency and a vibration. And so when we're holding a lot of shame and guilt, and I think that that is just rampant in our society, especially within sports culture. And how do we give, and not to make this a male versus female thing, but I think that there is something, to make a sweeping generalization, men haven't been given permission to feel their feelings and emotions like women have. And then women have been weaponized for it, right? So, like, we have this interesting collective awakening to emotional intelligence that's happening right now that I think is so important for humanity. It's so important that we create safe spaces in sports for guys to feel their feelings and emotions and process them in a healthier way. It's so important that we don't demonize women for the emotions and feelings that we do express, right? So, like, there's this beautiful thing, and I think sports is such a good training ground for that. Like, there could be a cultural revolution in sports just around emotional intelligence in and of itself, because that's where so many of us are learning these things. It's the fun part of our day growing up, hopefully, but then we've got so many coaches out here that are bringing these energies because they haven't processed their things, that it's just continuing to cycle.
Yeah, that's what I'm going after with social emotional leadership.
Yeah.
Is bringing that in, and then yeah, shame is a big part of that. So helping these kids understand it, so when they are shamed from the outside world or school, parents, bosses, future, whatever, they now have the self belief and strength to say
That's yours.
that's not true. Yeah, and I love to quote Big Daddy at times like this, where it's like, "You're not mad at me, you're mad at your dad. I forgive you." So, yeah, and understanding and seeing that, especially in the age of social media, where people are jumping into comment sections, and then it's like,
We were talking about that last night, Brooke and I were. It's like, people, like, what is going on in this world that you've got time to do that, and that's how you want to spend your time, is like going after people in comment sections about just don't watch this if you're gonna get upset or triggered by it. Go
Yeah.
watch something else. Like, there's endless amounts of content for you to go enjoy versus like put energy towards, like, we live in a wild world.
which then, while sport can be used as a
Tool
tool
and
and
vehicle, for
to
sure.
prepare them for the future.
We are same page Susans.
Yes,
I don't know where
and
Susans came from, but
it's alliteration. Betsy Benz. We were just
I
on
do.
the
I do love alliteration is one of my favorite things.
yes. What I do want to spend a little time with to wrap up
Yeah.
is a sample
Yeah.
for the listeners at home to then walk themselves through a visualization, whether it's 5 minutes.
Yeah.
We don't have to do the sound bath,
Okay.
but just
Yeah, I'll share a link
okay.
so that, yeah, if listeners want to like do like a 10-minute version that does include sound frequency, we can do that. But I can walk us and close us out now with what I call my breathing ground technique.
Okay.
And this is it's pretty simple, and it's scientifically designed to regulate your nervous system from any state, right? Like, I think there's learning about, like, am I in a freeze state versus am I in fight or flight, and recognizing those are two opposite sides of your system, and so you actually need like different tools sometimes to do that. But this is designed so, like, no matter where you're at, like, it's going to bring you into this centered moment. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Do I close my eyes?
We stand up first. Yeah,
Good
I know.
thing.
I know. Okay, so first and foremost, we got to start shaking. So shaking is something that, like, yeah, get a booty jiggle, thighs, wrists, flop the elbows and the arms, and just like really you can like bounce it out. Like, like when you see an athlete on the sideline, like getting ready.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like
boxers.
exactly. So you're shaking this out, and animals shake like if a gazelle gets away from the lion, it goes into the bushes and it shakes and it's releasing stress hormones. It's getting you out of your mind. We're going to start twisting side to side, get a little spinal twist. Spinal twist, activate your vagus nerve, which is the longest nerve, biggest nerve in the body. And that signals that to your parasympathetic, like, okay, we're slowing down, we're getting safe. Then we do a few head rolls, release tension in the neck. We hold a lot of it there, stress energy, go the other way. And once you feel sufficiently shooketh, now we'll sit down.
Shook.
Get shook. And find like feet flat on the floor, shoulders stacked over hips, nice tall spine. Bring your right hand to your belly, left hand to your heart. And start to come. If for those of you who are listening, if it's safe for you to close your eyes, please do so. Otherwise, you can just find some place to like softly gaze. Start to come to the bottom of your next exhale. Empty all the air from your lungs. And we're going to do a diaphragmatic breath first. So start to inhale through the nose and fill up your belly first. So like a big balloon, expand the diaphragm. Then start to pull that up into your chest, expanding the lungs. Sip in a little bit more air here. Go past full. Soften the shoulders. And now we're going to do a physiological sigh. Perfect. Let's run that back. So inhale into the belly first. Then start to pull it up into the chest. Sip in a little bit more air. Soften. Exhale, let it go. Beautiful. One more, biggest breath so far today. So inhale into the belly. Start to pull it up into the lungs. Sip in a little bit more. Hold a little bit longer. Let it go. Start to move into box breathing, originally known as Samavriti. So inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold full of air for 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale through the nose, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold empty for 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's repeat that. Inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now take 2 more rounds at your own count, your own pace. Trust your breath to be your guide.
Pearl's getting into it.
I love it. Now at the end of this second round, I just want you to pause and notice where you're at. Just notice the fluctuations of the mind. Kind of let thoughts start to pass by like clouds. Start to observe any sensations in the body that might be happening. And I want you to bring to mind one of your most favorite flow state memories ever. Moment of peak performance where you were just so aligned in the flow, time slowed down. And start to really relive that moment through your mind's eye. Start to feel what was happening in your body. Kind of toggle back and forth between that first person perspective and that hovering above third person perspective. Take a deep breath in. Imagine you can smell this place. And as you exhale, really sink into that flow state. And start to gently wiggle your fingers, your toes. For the sake of time, I'm going to pull us back out of this. Start to come back into the room, opening your eyes. There's a little mini taste of how you can regulate your nervous system to start to visualize. Like, I think the trap is that we just tell athletes to go visualize, and they don't know how to calm their mind down to a space where then they can actually just focus on the visualization. So using that breathe and ground in moments of emotional dysregulation, or to prepare the body to, like, okay, let's clear the slate so that we can actually focus on this. Yeah, that's what I'm going to take people through every single time.
Love it.
Yeah.
If people want to continue to learn from you, where do they go?
At Make One Day Happen is Instagram. I've got a podcast. I've got an app. I've got an app for that. So I'm actually working on a custom app that will create custom sound visualizations and kind of amplify and scale that process. Right now I do, if anyone's listening wants to work on a custom thing together specific for an injury or a sport or a goal, whatever that might be, they can reach out on Instagram. I'm also Shenna Jean. Looks like Shenna, it's pronounced Sheena, it's a whole thing. But I'm sure we'll put all of this in the show notes. I am obsessed with visualization and helping people identify what that one day vision is. Like, that's kind of where that comes from. Is like, we all have that, like, oh, one day I want to be in the Olympics or own that land or whatever it is. We all have different one day visions, but like finding clarity on that and then helping people make that happen is my life's purpose and passion. And so if there's any way I can be of service in that, I would love to connect.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, namaste. Thank you for coming out to Dripping Springs.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. This is just one of those amazing, universally divine, cosmically timed, just, okay, yeah, let's do it. So thank you for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Oh yeah, I got a lot of notes, a lot of fun, and thank you for tuning in.
I forgot about that thing. Hey.
And scene.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Hey, this was amazing. Thank you so much.
And there's still a lot of things left to cover.
Well, we can run it back. We can absolutely run it back.